Test drive for EEE third year. Subject is solid state drives. Slip power recovery schemes are of two types. One is static Kramer drive, the other one is static Scherbius drive. Static Kramer drive. A static Kramer drive is a method to obtain an injected voltage that is in phase with the rotor current. So this is the schematic diagram of static Kramer drive. A three-phase slip ring induction motor is connected in this drive. The stator of the three-phase slip ring induction motor is connected to a three-phase AC supply. The rotor of the machine is connected to a rectifier and a DC link, and to the converter, then a three-phase transformer, then again connected to the three-phase AC supply. The rectifier is a diode rectifier. The converter is a thyristerized converter. So this is the another schematic diagram of the same static Kramer drive scheme. So in this diagram, the rectifier is a diode type. 6 diodes are used here. Then one filter is added in the rotor side. So static Kramer drive. The voltage at the slip rings is forced to be in phase with the rotor currents by the diode rectifier. The magnitude of the slip ring voltage is set by the DC link voltage, which is in turn set by the inverter connected back to the AC supply. So in the diagram above, the analysis presented, the inverter used is a thyristor converter. However, a PWM inverter can also be used. So this is the simple analysis of a static Kramer drive. The simple analysis of static Kramer drive illustrates the operation of the drive. So here it neglects the voltage drops in the drive and any possible commutation overlap in the diode rectifier. So for easy analysis, the voltage drops and commutation overlap are removed or not considered. The voltage at the input to the diode rectifier is given by VLLIR is equal to root 3 VI by AEFF, that is effective, alpha effective. And the DC link voltage can be found from the diode input line voltage as VDC is equal to 3 root 2 by pi VLLIR. Considering as a thyristor rectifier connected in reverse and the DC link voltage is related to the line inverter voltages. So assume it is a reverse connected. The VDC is equal to minus 3 root 2 by pi VLL inverse cos alpha is equal to 3 root 2 by pi VLL inverse cos alpha. Substituting the above expressions, the voltage injected into the rotor can be calculated as VI is equal to A effective by root 3 N inverse by N line VLL's cos alpha. Using the simplified analysis together with the slip energy recovery torque equations, the thyristor firing angle required for a particular torque and a particular speed can be found. So torque speed. Because the slip ring voltage is derived using a diode bridge, the torque speed curve for a motor operated using a static Kramer drive does not produce a negative torque as soon as the speed exceeds the no load speed. If the slip is too low for a given injected voltage, The voltage induced in the rotor circuit by the stator will have a lower magnitude than the DC link voltage. That means if the slip is low or too low for a given injected voltage, the voltage induced in the rotor circuit by the stator will have a lower magnitude than the DC link voltage. So as a result, no current flow will flow and the torque will be 0. So there is no current flow and the torque is also 0. Next, the static shear-based drives are capable of bidirectional power flow with positive and negative injected voltages possible in phase with or opposing the rotor current. But in the case of Cramer drive, it is a unidirectional flow, most of it. So this is the schematic diagram of a static shear-based drive. So here the slip ring induction motor is having 3 blocks, another 3 floor blocks. The one is C1, then C2, then LD, then 3-phase transformer. C1 is nothing but thyristor converter and C2 is the thyristor inverter. The stator of the slip ring induction motor is connected to a 3-phase AC supply and the rotor is connected to the C1. And between C1 and C2, a smoothing inductor is used. Then after C2, a 3-phase transformer is connected then to the 3-phase AC supply. For achieving both subsynchronous and supersynchronous speed control, converter C1 and C2 must be fully controlled thyristor bridges, one functioning at a slip frequency as rectifier or inverter, while the other operates at the supply system frequency as inverter or rectifier. So here in static shear-based drives, subsynchronous and supersynchronous speed controls are achieved with the help of converter C1 and C2. So they are fully controlled thyristor bridges. One converter functions at slip frequency as a rectifier or inverter. Similarly, the C2 operates at supply system frequency as inverter or rectifier. So considering the torque equation for slip energy recovery, the tau is equal to RT 3IR into IRR plus VI by S omega S. So when motoring, torque is positive. When generating, torque is negative. That means if the motor is running at motoring action or operation, the torque is positive. If it is a generating operation, the torque is negative. So operating modes of shear-based drive. Subsynchronous motoring. In this mode, operation is similar to that obtained with a static Cramer drive. So it is similar to static Cramer drive in subsynchronous motoring. Slip and torque are both positive. Therefore, injected voltage must be in phase with rotor current. So it's a simple thing. Slip and torque are both positive. So the injected voltage must be in phase and with rotor current. Power flows into the stator and back out of rotor circuit. So here power flows into the stator and back out of the rotor circuit. Supersynchronous motoring. The machine is running at above synchronous speed and the slip is negative. So in order for the torque to be positive, IR square RR plus IR VI must be negative. Therefore, voltage and current must be out of phase with each other. So in supersynchronous motoring, the voltage and current must be out of phase with each other. Here, power is being injected into the rotor from the driver circuit connected to the slip rings, in addition to input power flowing into the stator. Subsynchronous generating. If generation below synchronous speed is required, torque must be negative, whilst slip is positive. So again IR square IR RR plus IR VI. That means IR square RR plus IR VI must be negative. Power is being injected into the rotor from the slip rings. supersynchronous generating. If generating above synchronous speed, slip and torque are both negative. Therefore, I square R RR plus IR VI is positive and injected voltage is in phase with rotor current. In this case, mechanical input power is being supplied from the shaft and both the stator and rotor circuits are providing output power. Some disadvantages of using static Chauvier drive. The principal disadvantage of subsynchronous cascade drive is its low power factor, particularly at reduced speeds. So at reduced speeds or low speeds, the power factor is very low. The reactive power consumption of the inverter is largely responsible for the low power factor of the cascade drive. So again, the low power factor is the responsible for reduced speeds. At reduced speeds, give the reactive power consumption of the inverter. Disadvantages of static Chauvier drive. The continuation of the same. The converter cost is quite appreciable and a slip frequency gating circuit is also required. So here the converter cost is more and the slip frequency gating circuit is also needed. Moreover, at speeds near synchronous, then the slip frequency EMFs are not adequate for natural computation. So special connections or forced computation methods are necessary. So for this purpose, that means at speeds near synchronous speed, when the slip frequency EMFs are not adequate for natural computation. So this static Chauvier drive is going for forced computation.